Have you ever considered what happens when you flush a toilet?
Or what happens when the Chicago area experiences significant rainfall in a short period of time?
Or even what happens to the byproducts of wastewater treatments?
All these answers can be found at one agency in the Chicagoland area.
This important agency is the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District. The MWRD was founded in 1889 and is essential for the treatment of wastewater, the management of stormwater, and the repurposing of wastewater treatment byproducts. The most environmentally friendly, locally sustainable byproducts to come out of the MWRD are biosolids. Biosolids are a sustainable soil amendment that are nutrient-rich and are produced as a byproduct of wastewater treatment services.
Federal biosolid standards are based on half a century of research and are outlined in the United States Environmental Protection Agency's Part 503 standards. The Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago follows both the federal EPA and the Illinois EPA to ensure that biosolids it produces meet all necessary safety requirements before they can be utilized in the field. Regulations set limits on trace element content and require extensive processing to kill pathogenic organisms. The MWRD conducts more than 1 million analyses annually to monitor the quality of industrial discharges and the chemical composition of its biosolids. The U.S. EPA has approved biosolids for residential and commercial use.
My name is Lakhvinder Handal. I'm a supervising soil scientist at Water Reclamation District.
Why aren't biosolids as popular as you would expect?
That's a good question, and in my opinion, it's simply because of lack of education, lack of awareness, and it could also be simply because of poor perception.
There are many misconceptions surrounding biosolids. One impression is that biosolids are seen as untreated human waste. This alone can deter most people from even considering biosolids as a positive alternative to conventional soil amendments, such as compost or synthetic fertilizer. We are here to tell you that biosolids are not a waste product. They are an unrealized resource. To ensure public health, the EPA categorizes biosolids as Class A or Class B. Class A biosolids contain no detectable levels of pathogens and undergo a rigorous cleansing process before they can be available to the public. On the other hand, Class B biosolids have less strict standards, but still undergo treatments to reduce levels of pathogens that are acceptable for agricultural use and public exposure. Another misconception is that biosolids contain high levels of heavy metals. These findings stem from outdated EPA regulations from the 1980s. Today, toxic heavy metals are eliminated from biosolids, and metals that do appear are actually essential for plant health.
All pathways are tested to protect human health, including children ingesting biosolids, workers breathing dust at land application sites, and home gardeners using biosolids in vegetable gardens. These strict standards ensure that biosolids are a viable, safe, and sustainable soil amendment. A great example of the use of biosolids can be seen from companies such as Milorganite and Milwaukee, as they surpass EPA standards of beneficial macro and micronutrients in their product. These biosolids ensure the safety of children and pets through the absence of pathogens, low metal content, and non-leaching of phosphorus. Metals are at concentrations below safety thresholds. These standards allow for the safe use of biosolids for both land and food without health concerns.
There's a long road from wastewater to biosolids. The first thing that happens when wastewater enters a treatment facility is screening. In this process, undesirable objects such as plastic, paper, and other materials are removed and landfilled. After screening, the wastewater undergoes both primary and full secondary treatment. During primary treatment, solids are removed by physical means including settling, skimming, and additional screening. The wastewater then moves on to secondary treatment, where microorganisms feed on organic materials in the wastewater in the presence of oxygen. After secondary treatment, we're left with clean effluent that can safely be discharged into the waterways, and captured solids known as raw sludge. The work is far from over to create biosolids. Unlike the treatments of the past, the additional processing to produce biosolids kills disease-causing organisms such as bacteria and viruses and reduces odors. MWRD processes these solids in anaerobic digesters, which are heated, and again uses microbes to further reduce odorous and non-odorous volatile organic compounds and pathogens. After digestion, the biosolids are stored in lagoons for a minimum of 18 months to further reduce volatile organic compounds and pathogens. The biosolids are then removed from the lagoons and placed on asphalt pads for air drying.
Biosolids help improve crop production by replenishing and maintaining healthy soil, by adding essential macro and micronutrients, boosting soil water holding capacity, and reducing topsoil runoff. The organic forms of nutrients in biosolids are less water soluble, making them less likely to leach into groundwater and are less likely to pollute than animal manures or chemical fertilizers. Biosolids also provide trace elements, which are necessary for healthy crop production and growth, while alternatives such as compost may not provide the same benefits. Biosolids provide nutrient-rich materials for use on golf courses, sport fields, public parks, and other recreational areas. Land reclamation is another area where biosolids can be very beneficial. Brownfield sites, such as coal strip mines, as well as landfills, can strip away topsoil and contribute to runoff and water pollution. Plant life there cannot be supported once the soil is robbed of nutrients and organic matter. Biosolids can replace topsoil, thereby improving soil fertility and decreasing erosion.
The MWRD will deliver biosolids to your site for a nominal fee. Biosolids are typically delivered by the truckload, or you can also pick them up yourself. A minimum truck size of 4 cubic yards will be allowed on MWRD property to pick up biosolids. Call the MWRD to arrange a free consultation with one of their soil scientists.
There are many municipalities from coast to coast that have been using biosolids successfully. Places like Portland, Oregon have land-applied biosolids to pastures, forests, and other degraded lands. On the other side of the country, in New York City, municipalities are shipping excess biosolids to farm fields in Colorado. In Southern California, biosolids are being used to reclaim agricultural lands. And in Baltimore, Maryland, the city has used biosolids to produce a product called Orgro, which is a soil amendment that is used on golf courses and other depleted lands. In Chicago, degraded lands have been successfully rehabilitated into the Chicago River Sculpture Park, which covers an area of 4 acres and used 650 tons of biosolid material. The city of Chicago also constructed Harborside International Golf Course, which used 500,000 dry tons of biosolids and covered an area of 453 acres. One of the major success stories of biosolids comes from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where biosolids have been used as a pellet fertilizer since 1926. Since its beginning, Milwaukee has sold over 9 billion pounds of recycled material, and in 2011, it was forecasted that Milwaukee would profit $7.7 million from sales. So, why don't you give biosolids a chance?